guys, welcome to another math video. This one will be covering how to calculate square roots without the use of a calculator, doing it by hand. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, well, why would I ever want to do that? Well, the higher up you go in math, the more and more you rely on your calculator to help you do stuff. And you really lose a sense of the basics. So this will hopefully take us back. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so here's the steps. So depending on what number you're taking the square root of, you want to set out a number of zeros. And what you want to do is, starting from the far right, you want to put them into pairs, groups of pairs, going to the left. Okay, now once you get to the far left, you want to find the perfect square that goes, that'll get you closest to that beginning part that you're in. So if you got a single digit, you want to find the closest perfect square to that single digit. And if you have a pair of digits, you want to find the perfect square that's closest to those double digits. Okay, then you're going to just subtract like you normally would. You'll put that number up on top like you would in the quotient for division. You square it, put it under the part that you're subtracting from, subtract it, and then you're done with that step. Then you want to bring down the next pair of numbers. So in division, you bring down the next digit. In the square root, we're bringing down the next pair. Okay, so now from here, this is where it gets kind of confusing. So the next step you want to do after you bring down your pair of numbers is the number you put up on top, you want to double that. And that'll be your number in your tens place. So you have to find some number that you're going to put in the ones place that you'll multiply to that whole number. And the product from those will be what you subtract in this next step. So you want to get as close as you can to that that number that you're on now without going over. And then you just pretty much repeat. Repeat the last few steps. So, and that really should say the last 4 steps, but you know, it's okay. So now this sounds kind of confusing, but once we go through the example, it'll make a little bit more sense, if not a lot of sense. Okay, so let's dive into one. Okay, so we're going to find the square root of 256. So this one here, we know it's a perfect square, or at least you should know it's a perfect square. So first step was to start from the right and pair numbers off, going towards the left. So these two numbers make a pair, which makes this one the last number that we're dealing with on the left. So we're going to start with the 2. Okay, so closest square that goes into 2 is 1, because 2 squared is 4, and that's bigger than 2, so that's too much. So I'm going to start with 1. So 1 squared is 1, and it goes under the 2, which we subtract, find the difference. Okay, so the first step is always the easiest part. After that is where it gets a lot more difficult. Okay, so the next step is to drop down the next pair of numbers, so that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to take the number up here, that we placed up here, and we're going to double it. Okay, so that number becomes the number in our tens place, and we need to find the number in our ones place here that we're going to multiply then to this whole number to get as close to this number as possible. Okay, so we'll try 5 first. So we're going to put 5 here. So whatever number here you put here, you're going to multiply it to that number that you just made. So if I put a 5 here, I'm going to multiply this whole number by 5. 25 by 5. So you can see you got 125. Okay, so let's try 6, just to see. Okay, so if I put 6 here, I'll multiply this whole number by 6. I get 156, which is exactly what we need. So what I'll do now is I'll put the 6 here, and also here. Okay, now down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number, the product, and that's what I'm going to subtract here. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I got the remainder of 0, so we're pretty much done. So square root of 256 is 16. Okay, now you're asking, well, what if it's not a perfect square? Okay, well, let's try one. Okay, so now we got 5. So going to round this to the nearest hundredth, so I need to go out 3 places. So here's a pair, here's a pair, here's a pair. So remember, each pair represents 1 digit up in the answer. So to get the nearest hundredth, which would be this pair, I need to go out 1 more pair so I can round, right? So I got 3 pairs here plus a single digit here, so I'm going to start with 5. So closest square, perfect square number to get to as close as 5 as I can without going over is 2, because 2 squared gives us 4, and then we just subtract. Okay, now we're going to drop down the next pair of numbers. Okay, then we'll take this number, we'll double it, and we need to find a 1's place digit to get as close to 100 as we can. Okay, so 2 sounds good, so I'll try 2, and just, for argument's sake, we'll try 3. So you can see 129 is over, so that's too much, so I'm going to work with 2. So again, 2 goes here, as well as it does up here. Okay, now down here is going to go that product. Then just subtract, and then we'll bring down the next pair of numbers. Okay, so now from here it gets a little bit different, because instead of just taking this number or just this number, we're going to take this whole number. And ignore the decimal point when we're doing this step. So we're going to take this number and double it, so that's 44. And we're looking for a new 1's place. Okay, so let's try 3. Okay, so 3 gives us this. Just for argument's sake, we'll try 4. You can see that 4 puts us over, so we're going to work with the 3. So 3 goes here, as it does here. Okay, and again, the product is what we subtract down here. Go ahead and subtract that. And then again, bring down the next 2 zeros. And again, we're going to double this. And we're looking for a new 1's place. Okay, so here's what we tried. Tried 5, which gave this. So it's not quite that close. We'll try 6, which gives us this. Pretty close. And for argument's sake, we'll try 7. So 7 is over. So we're going to go with the 6. So 6 will go here and up here. And at this point, we can actually stop, but I went ahead and did the subtraction for you. But we're only rounding to the nearest hundredths, so this is as far as we need to go. So 5, square root of 5 rounded to the nearest hundredth is 2.24. Okay, so that's if you have 1 digit to start with, all the way at the left here. So if you got something with 2 digits, well, let's try that. Okay, so again, nearest hundredth, so I got 6 pairs of zeros here, so 2, 2, 2, and I got 2 digits at the end here. So closest number squared that gets us to 10 would be 3, because 3 squared is 9. Alright, so you just want to get as close as you can with your square number as possible. Makes your number smaller. Then again, bring down our next 2 numbers. We'll take this number and double it, and we'll find the 1's place. So we'll start with 1. Okay, and just for argument's sake, we'll try times 2. 62 times 2, which is over 100. So if this is too much, we'll go with the 1. So 1 goes in those spots, and we'll use the product to subtract. Okay, and then again, we'll bring down our next 2 values, or next 2 numbers, which is not too hard because it's all zeros in this case. Okay, so again, we'll double this, find a new 1's place. Okay, so let's see what we tried here. We tried 5. No, it's kind of close, so we'll try 6. The 6 is pretty close, so I think we'll go with the 6. Okay, because just using mental math, 6 times 7 is 42, and that's more than 39. So it's a safe bet to stay with the 6. So we'll use this product here, subtract, and then bring down our last two numbers because I only got 3 pairs of numbers to go on. Okay, and then we'll double this again. Okay, finding a new ones place. So we'll find a number here, closest to that, 2. Looks like it's going to be 2. We'll try 3 anyway, just, to satiate you guys. 18 is bigger than 14, so 3 is going to be too much. So we'll use 2. This product goes down here to subtract. And you do the subtraction, which you don't really have to do because we only need to go to the nearest hundredth. So square root of 10 to the nearest hundredth is 3.16. And if you don't believe me, you can always use a calculator to check, even with the last problem. Okay, but in a nutshell, that's pretty much how you do square roots by hand. It's a long process, I know, but you want to impress your math teacher without having to use a calculator, turning these into decimals, go for it. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Sorry it went so long. If you need to review any parts, go ahead and just go back to those parts. And this works for any size number, really. Doesn't just work on 1 or 2 digit numbers. If you have like a 10-digit number that you need to find the square root of, you can certainly do it this way too. It just takes a little bit longer. Alright guys, well that's it. Like I said, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.